In our last episode, Fate dedicated himself to protecting Roxy on her upcoming expedition. Along the way, he met Mine, a member of Mortal Sins just like him. In this episode, the answers to our questions are about to be answered. A problem occurred at the carriage they were riding. Fate and Mine then came across a tiny village. In that tiny village, a view of Hassan Castle is observable. While exploring the village, our hero met Aaron Barbados, the village chief. Aaron asks Fate to spar with him if he wishes to stay at the village for a while. Before they start sparring, our hero immediately uses his identify skill, but he is shocked when Aaron's is able to read it. In just a matter of seconds, Fate lost the duel. Despite losing the duel, Aaron allowed Fate to remain in the village, but for one condition. That is, during his stay, he shall train under him. Both our hero and Greed were skeptical of Aaron. But Fate doesn't want to waste the opportunity to be trained by someone like Aaron, so he just accepted his offer. The first lesson is hand-to-hand combat. In the middle of their training, Fate's gluttony started acting up. That baffled Aaron, so he was forced to go all in toward our hero. After the training, Fate was able to smell a monster inside the castle, so he immediately ran to inform Aaron. When he went inside the cabin, he saw Mine sleeping soundly on the floor with a lot of mess beside her. Later, Fate saw a painting. Both Fate and Greed noticed that Aaron's son in the painting looks exactly just like him. At the dining table, Mine opened up that she lost her sense of taste after she made a contract with Wrath. She also stated that she was here because of a certain goal. Aaron also opened up. He stated that the Hassan Castle used to be his, but because of the invasion of the Lick Lord, he lost the possession. He also stated that one of the Lick Lord's victims was his son. Hearing how powerful the monster is, Fate starts craving. So he left the dining hall immediately. Aaron knew that Fate's goal was to go inside the castle, so Aaron offered to go along with him to settle everything once and for all. While they were at it, Mine told Aaron that she was willing to protect the village for 50 golds. Later on, Fate and Aaron infiltrated the castle. Inside, they were ambushed by the Lick Lord's army, but they easily defeated them. When they went inside the castle's main hall, Aaron was shocked when he saw all of his companions, including his son and wife, were there. It turns out that an illusion spell was cast on them. Fortunately, Aaron is not a fool. He knew everything was just an illusion. As he duels with his son, he asks our hero to deal with the Lick Lord for him. While Fate and the Lick Lord duels, the servants cornered him. Luckily, Aaron managed to save and help him just in time. In the end, Fate and Aaron defeat the demon. Everyone, including Aaron's wife and son, was able to rest peacefully. Also, our hero was able to consume the Lick Lord's status. After that, Aaron revealed that he exceeded his level limit after fighting along with Fate. Meanwhile, we get to see a glimpse of the Velaric siblings. Looks like the Velarics had managed to acquire the Philosopher's Stone. Later, their informant went inside the room to inform them that their brother Hado was dead. Our hero and Mine's journey continues. Fate asked Greed what was she fighting for, but Greed decided to keep it a secret from Fate. Greed instead told him that one day he would know as long as he kept traveling with her. Meanwhile, Roxy and her companions reached the village where Aaron was. Their objective was to meet him. At the Hassan Castle's broken wall, they met Aaron. They asked him how he managed to take the castle back. He replied that it was all thanks to a certain man. They then asked if he could reveal it, but he refused to do so. After that, Roxy informed Aaron that her father had now passed, which surprised him. Before they leave, Aaron offers himself to train Roxy before they proceed to Galia. Of course, Roxy did not hesitate to accept his offer. Now, Fate and Mine were back in the picture. Mine brought Fate where she was born, which is now a ruin. As our hero followed Mine, they saw a cocoon of Chimera. Greed revealed that the cocoon was made by the Galians to be used as a bioweapon. It turns out that the reason Mine brought Fate with him was to help her take down the Chimera. Though it was still in a larval state, its stats were already a force to be reckoned with. Fate's task was to consume its soul because the Chimera's body has immortality, and the only way to beat it was to take its soul. After destroying the cocoon, the Chimera's true form was revealed. It's a metallic titan with a woman in its core. Because of that, our hero refuses to take the Chimera's soul, because once he takes the soul, the girl will suffer eternal torment forever. It really looks like the only way to kill the chimera is to take its soul, because no matter how much they attack it, its body keeps on regenerating. The chimera then went into metamorphosis. It suddenly grew wings on its back. Because of the dire situation, our hero has no choice but to manually activate his gluttony skill. Eventually, Fate managed to reach the core and give a clean blow. After he stabbed the woman inside the core, his telepathy skill activated. It was unveiled that the woman in the core and mine were friends. Both of them were a subject for Galeon's next bioweapon, and the blue-haired woman was the chosen one. That's where our hero realized that he could be in the same situation where he would start to lose control. So he asked Mine if that ever happened. He wished to be killed by her. Mine hugged him and accepted his request. After that, they separated way. Before they both left, Mine told him that she thinks that the next time they meet he will be dead because she finds it foolish to exchange his whole stat for Greed's new form, which is a huge shield. Our hero had arrived at Babylon, a place full of strong warriors. Meanwhile, another holy knight is joining Roxy's squad. His name was Northern. Northern was one of the men who witnessed her father's death. He apologized to Roxy for not being able to do anything when he and his father were together. But Roxy asked him to hold his head up high because it didn't matter anymore. Their mission was to lead the expedition to success. Back to our hero, he was experiencing financial problems. Because the prices in Babylon were expensive, Greed saw a scabbard and asked Fate to buy it. While they were looking at the scabbard, the shop's blacksmith got intrigued by him. He asked how much the scabbard was, but the blacksmith told him that was just a display, and that if he wanted a scabbard he needed to make one that perfectly suited his weapon. He ran away from the shop when the man told him that he would make a scabbard for 500 gold. Later, they crossed the border between Babylon and Galia to do some hunting. He was about to take down a horde of orcs, but a group of warriors showed up to kill them. Luckily, another group of orcs flanked behind the warrior, so Fate took down all of the flanking orcs using Greed's shield form. Fate got everyone's attention when they saw him carrying a bag of orc loot. While he was exchanging it for rewards, a group of warriors accused him of loot stealing. So he gave those guys a lesson. Later on, Roxy and her crew went inside the warrior hall. As a holy knight, Roxy has the responsibility to maintain peace and punish those who cause trouble. She's about to reprehend Fate, but he states that everything he did was for self-defense, and a witness confirmed that it was. After that, while he was walking around Babylon, the blacksmith approached him to tell him how surprised he was for single-handedly handling the orcs. The blacksmith also offered to make a gear for him for his upcoming hunt. He also introduced himself. His name is Jade Stratos. At Jade's shop, he told our hero that he wanted him to use his wares for advertising, to which Fate accepted. Fate is now better equipped thanks to his collaboration with Jade. While he was looking for a place to have dinner, he crossed paths with a blue-haired girl named Eris. Eris slowly approached him and told him, "I've been waiting for your arrival, Fate." That caught Fate off guard. He did not expect that someone would be able to identify him despite wearing the mask. Eris revealed herself that she was also a part of the mortal sin. Her full identification was Eris of Lust. They then talk privately inside a room. Eris asked him to remove the mask for her. While she stared at him, Fate couldn't help but feel charmed by her. Eris told him that it was all because of the side effect of lust skill. With the lust for skill, anyone would feel attracted to her. Later, Eris revealed that she had been watching Fate ever since he arrived in the capital. Fate asked her if she also knew about Mine. She told him that she only knew a little information about her because she and Mine were in different generations of mortal sin. They talked for a while until Fate lost his composure when Eris said that her goal was to end Roxy's life. You see, in this world, there was a phenomenon that through built-up aggression a powerful entity would bring to life. With Roxy's untimely death, aggression would build up since she's the only holy knight that the masses loved. Hearing that made our hero walk out of the room. Meanwhile, Roxy was informed that the squads that were sent to Galia went missing. Due to Roxy's heroic personality, she immediately commanded everyone to head out to Galia to rescue them. The scene shifted back to our hero and Jade. Jade told our hero that he would need to obtain magic crystal if he wished to make a scabbard for Greed. Unfortunately though, magic crystals are hard to get a hold of lately. Regardless, Fate and Greed were set to get a magic crystal. Their hunt for the magic crystal began. At night, Fate slept before continuing his quest. In his dream, he met the woman who served as the Chimera's core. It looks like the woman is trying to say something to Fate, but she is inaudible. He was suddenly transported to eternal torment where he was pulled down by Hado and the thief in the beginning. But then he suddenly sensed a crowned beast. That made him wake up from his terrible nightmare. As he searched for the crowned beast, he encountered a small group of salamanders. Despite attacking it, the salamander didn't run away or fight, which made them conclude that the salamander must be under hypnosis. At the same time, Roxy and her companions were under attack by another group of salamanders. Luckily, our hero managed to reach them just in the nick of time. He easily beat the group of salamanders. Roxy thanked him for aiding them. Fate then pointed out the helmet that the salamanders were wearing, to which the group finds very suspicious. The next day, they separated the ways when they reached the Great Ravine. In his search for magic crystal, he saw Eris. He tried to follow her, but he lost her. His attention shifted when he heard a loud bang on the east. Without wasting any time, he went there. It turns out that Roxy and her squad were being attacked by chimeras. Luckily, those chimeras were only a prototype version. With Roxy and Fate's amazing synergy, they managed to slay the first chimera while Miria was tending to Mugen's wound. They were fighting the last chimera when the ground suddenly collapsed, which resulted in them falling to nowhere. When they woke up from their fall, they realized they were inside an underground cave. Roxy asked how come he knew about the chimeras. He replied that because he traveled with a Galian before. Roxy concluded that he must be the same guy that was rumored that Mine was traveling with a man in a mask. As Roxy stares at him, she is reminded of days where she and Faye spend days together. While they were having their sweet moments, Fate's gluttony skill suddenly activated. So he ran away from her to hunt the lost chimera. Thanks to that, his gluttony was satisfied. The ground above them suddenly collapsed. It turns out that the cause of it was a huge magic crystal. Later on, they were reunited back to Northern, Mugen, and Maria. The scene shifted then to another masked man. After a month of staying in Babylon, Roxy asked our hero to duel with her. It was all because of Fate's previous action. In his month of staying, he already committed a lot of offenses. In their duel, Fate refuses to draw out his sword. He instead fights Roxy with his scabbard on. Fighting Roxy with swordsmanship alone made him struggle. Roxy's goal in their duel was to destroy his mask to expose him to the people. That makes our hero take her seriously, and he uses his holy sword technique skill, to which caught everyone by surprise. Because even though he was not a holy knight, he was capable of using such skill. Unfortunately for Fate, he lost the duel when he saw the stone he gifted to Roxy. Roxy deducted that our hero was trained by Eren due to how fluid his swordsmanship is. He then had a conversation with Mugen where they talked about the monsters they fought at Galia. They both knew that those monsters were being controlled by certain someone. Inside the room where Fate was staying, he was reminiscing about what Mine told him before they parted, where he warned him that his gluttony skill might overwhelm him in the future, but then the city's sirens suddenly activated. It looks like a death march is heading to the city. Without any reluctance, Roxy was willing to head out to prevent the city from being shattered. Fate activated his half-starved state in case something bad happened to the royal army, especially Roxy. He then sensed something underneath that was getting ready to flank the royal army. Because of our hero's quick thinking, he managed to prevent the monster's flank. When he finally saw a glimpse of the monster, it had the same mark as the salamander and chimera that he fought before. What makes the situation scary is that the monster was a crowned beast, yet someone managed to control it. Luck wasn't on Fate's side because the monster managed to escape his sight before he even landed a clean hit on it. Later on, he managed to find the crowned beast once again. He was able to take the beast's soul, but despite taking it, the beast was still alive. He then saw the same masked man that we had just seen a glimpse of recently. They noticed that the man had the envy weapon, so they deduced that the person behind the mask must be Eris. He tried to attack the mysterious person, but all of his attacks were deflected. Left with no choice, Fate uses 100% of his gluttony skill. He managed to destroy the mask and reveal its identity. The man behind everything was Northern all along. Northern then used his flute to call the divine dragon to finish Roxy once and for all. Roxy froze when he saw the dragon, but fortunately, our hero managed to save her just in time. In the process of protecting her, his mask shattered, revealing himself to Roxy. Roxy noticed that Fate's eyes had changed color. Fate was ashamed of himself for lying to Roxy, so he asked her to stay back and let him handle the divine dragon. He managed to immobilize the divine dragon, but before he was able to strike it, Northern came to aid it. An intense duel between our hero and Northern happened. Fate struggled against Northern even though Northern was not even using his full strength. Northern was well-witted as well. He was able to conclude that Fate could only restrict the divine dragon to a certain range. That made him panicked, resulting in Northern amputating his arm. When Northern was about to finish our hero, someone suddenly stabbed him from behind. It turns out that what Northern was seeing was an illusion after he amputated his arm, which helped the hero to catch him off guard. His duel with Northern then concluded. Suddenly Fate was transported back to the nothingness where he had a conversation with the Chimera woman once again. The woman introduced herself and her name was Luna. Luna thanked Fate for killing her. It was revealed that all this time the reason Fate's gluttony skill has quieted down was because of her. Sadly, she won't be able to help him anymore because he is getting stronger, and once he consumes the divine dragon he will lose control of himself. He was about to fall to eternal torment, but Greed's human form managed to save him. His battle with the divine dragon continued. He threw Greed right to the divine dragon's neck and landed a clean hit. He managed to slay and consume the dragon's soul. Now the real test begins, where he needs to maintain his sanity after consuming the soul. He first gave all of his stats to Greed to at least lessen his capability of destruction. He knew that Mine would come, so he asked Mine to fulfill her promise to him that she would kill him if he ever lost control. Mine was about to execute him, but Roxy butted in, preventing Fate from dying. With Roxy's presence, he had a reason to live again and managed to keep his sanity. Inside the room he was staying in, he was greeted by Mine and Eris. Eris revealed that Envy the weapon was the cause of everything, and Northern was only a victim of it. So what Mine did was that she used all of her strength to throw Envy where no one would find it. Envy asked him to help her with her previous goal, since he was now a powerful being, which he accepted as long as she stopped going after Roxy. Eris told Fate that she would be able to help him in bringing his arm back. Also, he told him to stay away from Roxy because his gluttony skill was craving for her. When Roxy came inside to visit Fate, he was already gone, and only a letter was left telling her about his departure. While reading the letter, Roxy reminded of her the day she first met Fate. It turns out that the Holy Knight that helped Fate back then was Roxy all along. That's all for the part 2 recap of this banger anime. This anime gave us a lesson to never lose your reason to live and always look for further improvements. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be updated for future uploads. As always, take care,